Yo, what's up, guys? It's the Insane Game Freak here. You're probably wondering why this is audio. As you probably can tell from this video is pretty late considering this game has been out for what? It's been out for like, what, 3 weeks? Actually, no, it's been out for almost a month because it came out on the 20th in America, and if we're counting the Japan release, it's been out for 2 months. So I think it's about time I go ahead and full on address Fire Emblem Warriors, and obviously the Switch version, because who the fuck plays on the 3DS anymore? So, I've been pretty busy with other things, work, life, other fucking games, because Nintendo's decided, you know what we're gonna do? We're gonna update every fucking game consistently. So if you're someone who plays a bunch of fucking games, guess what? You constantly got shit to do. Fucking Pokken got updated. ARMS got updated. Fucking they added that DLC for Breath of the Wild for the Xenoblade crossover. Xenoblade comes out in less than 2 weeks. It's a fucking madhouse, like dead ass. And then you got Thanksgiving around the corner. It's like I've been playing. I think this is the first week I haven't played Fire Emblem Warriors. I've been playing Fire Emblem Warriors every week, and Jesus Christ. So I think it's about time we finally address it. And then, oh look, there's an update out for Fire Emblem Warriors. So I guess it's the best time to talk about it, because I may not get another chance considering the busyness has been going on, because I bought Rocket League too. So let's talk about Fire Emblem Warriors and discuss it. So the first thing that we need to discuss is probably the main mode of the game, which is the story mode, which is what you're going to have to play to not only unlock these characters, but to get a decent chunk of them upgraded early anyway. So the way I look at the story mode is that the story mode is fine for what it needs to do, but I will say this. It seems like the fan service and the treatment of characters get worse as you go through the story mode, in the sense that the way these characters are introduced, because the order they're introduced is the Awakening cast, the Fates cast, and the Shadow Dragon cast. I would say up until the latter half of the Fates cast, they're introduced fine, and then like the latter half, it's just thrown together like some fucking shitty ass pizza. I don't even know what to describe it as. All I'm gonna say is that Corrin, and it's sad because I still like female Corrin's design, and I'm glad they went with female Corrin instead of male Corrin, but god damn it, she is like the worst thrown in character of the main cast. Like Jesus Christ, like all the little siblings like Ryoma, Xander, Elise, Sakura, Camilla, Hinoka, Leo, Takumi, I don't have any real problems with. It's not until you get to fucking Corrin and then the Shadow Dragon cast where I'm like, Jesus, this is pretty bad. I'm not gonna go into spoiler reasons for why. Just know that the way Corrin, I'll say this, is that Corrin is introduced, and I don't even know how to describe it. She's introduced and shown like within like one fight. Like the other characters had the advantage of showing up in some of the other cutscenes and shit, and getting some little minor moments here and there. Corrin, it's like, here she is, and then you're like, oh. And the Shadow Dragon cast don't even get any real iconic moments. It's just like, here they are. And you're just sitting there going, well, this was kind of a waste of fucking time, or this could have been handled better. Other than that, I mean, the story mode is just the story mode. It's just kind of an excuse to get you used to the controls and how to play the game. And I will say, comparing this to Hyrule Warriors, this is a way more strategic game where you really got to worry about weapon types, advantages and disadvantages. And you also got to worry about where the fuck your units are positioned. Now, the story mode doesn't get insanely hard with this until you get to like maybe like the last, I want to say, third of the game. It becomes kind of an issue. The where you're really going to notice this the most, though, is in history mode, which I highly suggest you play, because that's the only way you can get Lyn, that's the only way you can get Celica, it's the only way you can get Anna, it's the only way you can get female Robin, which we all know is the best Robin, because female versions of avatars are fine as fuck! Oh, and you can also get Melkorn, but who the fuck cares about that? It's fucking terrible, but that's the reality. History mode is hard, it's challenging, and it's a lot of fucking fun. Though it does kind of reveal some of my main issues with the game, which also correlate with the DLC. So, for those who don't know, the DLC was like prematurely leaked before the US version of the game came out, and we already know the characters we're getting for each of the DLC packs. So I think the first one is the Fates pack, which is Azura, Niles, and Obero. Which is to me the most offensive of the 3 packs, and I see why it's coming first, because it's literally, they don't have to do much. Azura's the only new character in the fucking pack. That's besides the point, we'll get into it in a second. The Awakening is Owain, Tharja, and Olivia, and then the 3rd pack for Shadow Dragon is Minerva, Navarre, and Liliana. And the reason why I say it correlates with some of my issues with the game is that Obero and Azura will be our first Lance users that don't have a fucking arrow weakness. This is the one thing that ticked me off when I start playing history mode. I was like, wait a minute, I want to use a Lance user. There are archers in the field. I would rather just have a Lance user that isn't weak to archers. Spoiler, you can't fucking do that because all your Lance users are goddamn Pegasus Knights. Hinoka, Sita, Cordelia, they're all fucking Pegasus Knights. So if you want to use a Lance user, guess the fuck what? You also got to take that arrow weakness. Now, granted, it's not like they're in every map, and it's not like you can't make it through it. It's just annoying when you're trying to be strategic and you don't have that variety you want. Other than, I mean, obviously we can harp on the roster not being as fulfilling as it should be, but that's a whole. To me, it's been beaten to death, and it's not as offensive. I'm just more annoyed that the characters that are picked from the games are characters that aren't even well liked. I can understand Niles. I don't know who the fuck was running around going, man, I really want Obero in the game. It's actually especially funny when you consider fucking how much Obero gets on people's nerves if you play Fire Emblem Heroes, because she's a fucking common and you see her all the goddamn time. So Obero wasn't on the highest tier list. Same thing would go for maybe like, I think Awakening is a little bit better because people love the shit out of Owain, people love the shit out of Tharja. Olivia is fine, and then Shadow Dragon is like, holy shit, it's Minerva. But that's one of the major things that, like, oh look, we're getting a bunch of Lance users. Well, you know the reason why we're getting Lance users, right? Is because the Lance users we have in the game all are the same character, which gets into the other problem. The game is filled with clones. It's not like insane, but it's a good amount of clones. Like, all the Pegasus Knights play the same, which makes this whole situation worse. I believe, I'm trying to remember which ones. We got the sword clones, which would be in the form of the main 2 OC characters, Rowan and Liliana, or Liana. I don't even know how to pronounce her name. It's funny because that's the one I picked. Marth and Celica are clones. Lucina and Chrom are clones. And it's a shame. And on top of the game being inherently imbalanced in terms of weapon types, there are only 3 Lance users. There are only 3 axe users, a whole bunch of fucking sword users, 3 arrow users. Actually, no. Yeah, 3 arrow users, 3 arrow users, including Anna. Like, it just feels like the swords are the most imbalanced. And then you got, like, these weird setups where you got fucking Tiki, who's the only dragon you get. Robin, who is the only mage you can use unless you count Camilla's ability to use certain types of magic. And it's like, I'm not super excited. Now, I am happy to the fact that the game has its post-launch DLC, but it's not as exciting because if you remember how Hyrule Warriors went, Hyrule Warriors post-launch DLC included getting the villain characters as playable characters, which was cool as fuck until you realize that if you take that same logic and apply it to the Fire Emblem, well, who are our villain characters? They're all fucking dark mages. And guess who's also in our DLC? A fucking dark mage. You really think that's 4 dark mages we're gonna potentially have that will more than likely play the same, like a decent number of characters now play the same, which kind of brings up the other concern that Obero, Azura, and fucking, am I missing one? It might be just Obero and Azura are gonna play the same because they're both Lance users, and it's like the fact that Olivia and Liliana from Shadow Dragon are both dancers makes me wonder. And on top of that, there's more sword characters. Minerva will be our fourth axe user. And the one, and I think the thing that, and that's kind of what bothers me more, is that not necessarily that, you know, we have the limited amount of that, we don't have the biggest cast as we do, but there were other characters you could have picked from that had more variety in their weapons and could have made them, because think about the axe users are probably the most varied. You have Lissa, who's a healer. You have Frederick, who's a mounted, just full on throwing axes like a beast. And then you have Camilla, who's the only dragon rider on your crew and also has magic variants in her attacks. Like, and those are all 3 axe users. Like, those have some variety, which makes me worry about Minerva pretty much being a Camilla clone, because I believe she rides a dragon from what I understood about Shadow Dragon. And it makes me concerned because the game is fun as shit, dude. The game is super fun. I don't have any issues with the voice acting. I appreciate that Nintendo allows us to download the Japanese voices, but the voice acting is fun. I love the fact that I'm constantly looking at my map and moving my characters around. Your fucking characters are competent. Thank Jesus Christ. You don't know how much I fucking appreciate that. These characters are competent as fuck. I can actually let them run off and do things, and they will go ahead and take over forts. Because you kind of have to rely on them in later missions in the game, because some of the later maps are hard as fuck. And some of your partner characters, you can let them do their thing, guide them to where they need to go, and they can handle business. And I truly appreciate that. I like the pair up mechanic. It's not nowhere near as useful as I think they wanted it to be, which is primarily because you're only going to be, the only way you'll be using it is if you take up another one of your partner slots to fucking do that. The reason why you don't want to do that is because you run the risk of, in maps that need a whole bunch of shit done at once, you end up like consolidating your fucking forces because you got 2 units in one, which is great for attack power and damage and combo attacks. But damn it, now there's like a side of the field that could be getting covered that can't be because you're holding your character hostage pretty much. And oh, the other fucking improvement I fucking love to death, you can switch characters on the battlefield. Dude, people don't know, that shit is great. That shit is great. The one thing I couldn't stand about Hyrule Warriors is that they made you, essentially, if you had to get something done, you had to run across the fucking map. And they don't have all that extra dumb shit like the golden sculptulas and shit. You had to be in a certain area of the map and you had to find. They still have that in the sense of Anna's Mementos. But guess what? You could send a character over there, switch to that character, and go, I got it. We're good. We can move on to the next task. I love that shit. The game is so streamlined and about the shit you have to do and how you can do it. That's what makes this game fun as fuck. It's one of those games that I haven't bought the DLC yet because honestly the Fates DLC isn't super appealing to me. The only character I probably more than likely would even use out of that whole DLC is either Obero or Zura, and that's just because they're Lance users. Hell, I still need to unlock like Anna and Celica and shit. Like, I haven't even unlocked all the hidden characters in the game yet because other games have been out. But that's what makes this game fun. There's always gonna be that shit in my heart where I'm sitting there going, man, I really wish they would have picked Charlotte as an axe character. And why? Because there were better characters to pick. I mean, I don't really mind most of the cast, but I'd be lying to say I didn't have my personal bias I wish they had picked. Like, the fact that you picked Cordelia and you left Sumia out there. How fucking dare you? Why aren't there any armor units, bruh? You had fucking Kellum. You had fucking Effie. You had, what's his name? Drog, I believe, from Shadow Dragon. God damn it. I wanted to play with a fucking, an armor character because they'd be slow as fuck, but they would hit hard like a motherfucker. And the major appeal would be with them is that those are units that are known for carrying axes and lances, so you wouldn't even have to change much. The only other thing I don't like is that characters like Tiki and Robin kind of suffer because magic and fucking dragons don't have any advantages, so like everything they do is like a struggle. Unless they're over leveled or something, it doesn't really they don't benefit you a lot unless you're the one directly controlling them. Like, those are the ones that don't really get a lot done because they don't have any type advantages. And I would include arrow users like Sakura and Takumi, except there are Pegasus Knights and they can do that. Now, some of you would say, but there are armor units in the game. Yeah, but they're not, none of them are ever bosses. Like, none of them are fucking armor units that you have to fight. They're all, like, throwaway dudes that aren't necessary to beat the game. And so that's the problem. It's like, I feel like characters like Robin and eventually Tharja and any other magic user we get aren't gonna get used to their full potential because, I don't know, because there's no real enemy in the game that they have any advantage against. The same thing with Tiki. Being the only dragon, she has no real advantage. And I get it, it's like the games, but it just makes her not want to be played with unless you just really like Tiki. And granted, I like Tiki. I wish we can get an alternate costume for her awakening look, but you know, I'll take what I can get. Maybe that'd be some free DLC, right? Right, guys? And then obviously they've recently started showing that we're gonna get broken armor. Some of it will be free and the other parts will be in DLC. Please put... Everyone knows what's going to happen. As soon as Camilla's, Lynn's, and Celica's broken armor models come out or are available, nobody's playing with them bitches in their normal clothes. They're all going to be in broken armor outfits. And guess what? That's the fan service we appreciate. It's kind of weird that the game is surprisingly tasteful with most of the girls. Lynn, jiggle physics aside, but I mean... I'm just fucking surprised. It's actually a really fun game, dude. I didn't buy Hyrule Warriors DLC because I'm not that big into Legend of Zelda, so a lot of it didn't mean as much to me. I might buy Fire Emblem Warriors DLC. If nothing else, come on, it's fucking Tharja. Like, I would play. That's the thing. I would play with Tharja. I would play with Olivia. I might shit on the Obero, but more than likely I'll play with Obero too. And it does add variety into the gameplay because, like I said, our Lance users all are weak to arrows. So it'd be nice to have a Lance user that isn't weak to arrows. Also, I'm curious how the Dancer class is going to be implemented in a game in which isn't turn-based. So that's also things to look forward to. I don't know. I think it's a fun game. It's definitely flawed, and the cast does not help. And on top of that overabundance of fucking sword characters, on top of the fact that DLC, now granted, I think Owen is the only DLC sword character. No, that's a lie, because Olivia's base weapon was a sword. So if we're lucky, there only will be Navarre. Yeah, I tried to give it a point on the DLC. It's like there's at least 3 or 4 DLC characters that are gonna use swords. And those are the characters we don't need, dude. So it's just a fucking shame, personally. But you do what you got to do, I guess. But please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. I like Fire Emblem Warriors. I probably will keep playing Fire Emblem Warriors, unlike Hyrule Warriors, where I only played it until I beat it and then I was done with it. I don't even think I cared about getting the secret characters because the map, the history mode, I forget what it's actually called in Hyrule Warriors, is so fucking tedious. The fucking history mode in Fire Emblem Warriors is great. I fucking love it because I don't have to deal with a whole bunch of extra bullshit. It's pretty straightforward about what you have to do, and if you want to get the character, that doesn't mean you have to stop playing the map. It just means you got the extra character. So there's a lot to like about this game. It's just some small stupid things that will piss you off, because I think the most offensive is probably the roster and even the DLC characters, because the fact that you're taking NPCs and turning them into DLC characters, which are characters that are more than likely already done, really takes the wind out of people's sails. It's like, yo, I thought we would get Obero later on in a patch. Nope, you gotta pay, what is it? I think it's $20 for the season pass, so I think it's like probably like $4, $5, $6.99 for the DLC pack. Which is why I say Fates is the worst one, because Niles and Obero are already in the game, so the only real new character you're getting is Azura. Whereas like Awakening and Fates, it's not as offensive, because, I mean Awakening and Shadow Dragon, because Awakening, it's only Owain that's old, and in Shadow Dragon it's only Navarre, so I don't know. Please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Thank you guys for watching. This has been the Insane Game for Life's a Game, play to win, and I will catch you guys later. Peace out. Peace out. Oh, damn! Is that Tharja? Ooh-wee!